Welcome to the pilot episode of the currently unnamed CMSL podcast. As most people that will watch this first episode will be aware, we've been talking about new content and what the Super League is really about. And so here we are recording a pilot episode of what could be something going forward, depending on the feedback we get. So we really do hope you like what it is. It's not all going to be Super League related. We are going to be talking about current affairs. We're going to be talking about football past and present. We'll be talking Super League, and then we've also got a Challenge Smuts feature at the end. Speaking of which, let me welcome my co-host for this project. Smuts lad, how are you doing?
I am very well, mate. Very well. I have dipped my toe into what every other middle-aged white guy has ever done and started a podcast.
Potentially.
Potentially.
We've got ideas of what this could be. Again, as I said in the intro, we're kind of treating this as a guinea pig pilot, but are you excited by our early discussions of what could come from this?
Positively moist, mate. Yeah. New season, new content, new managers, same old smuts. Yeah. Still saying vulgar shit on the internet to dozens of people.
And we also have a guest waiting in this pilot episode. But let's kick things off, and Super League aside, and we'll get into the ins and outs of it. Obviously, a lot of this came about during lockdown. A lot of it came about as a release for people, and we kind of want to use, if we go forward with this, as a kind of check-in as well as to how people are doing, what's going on, etc. So I mean, obviously we talk every day, but for the millions that I'm sure will be watching this, how are things?
Yeah, I'm okay. Obviously, as we said, lockdown was a big catalyst for a lot of people to start thinking about themselves for 5 minutes of not having that constant work-related buzz in their ears. So a lot of people, and this sort of organically came about, wasn't it? The Championship Manager community, as it's been dubbed. We're just a bunch of virgins that were still playing a 20-year-old game that sort of organically came together to support each other through Armageddon and the apocalypse, basically. I mean, me and you found out that we were in the same town. Just by accident, we found out we were in the same bloody industry in terms of jobs and stuff. And considering we didn't know each other 3 years ago, you were at my wedding last year. It's mental that's occurred. And even though it's such a small world that even the guest that we've got on happens to be my wife's old next door neighbour.
Well, yes, and that's the perfect segue for us to welcome the gentleman who has kindly agreed to guinea pig this whole brainchild of ours with us. Welcome to the Unnamed project, Ross.
Yes, hello guys. Thank you for choosing me to be your guinea pig.
No, thank you for agreeing. So again, let's start with the obvious question. You know, we'll park Super League till later in the show, but generally, how are you?
Yes, very well. All obviously excited to see the end of Super League, but even more excited for the start of what's the new season of Super League for myself.
Absolutely. Just as again, can't stress enough how much of a raw pilot this is. Smuts, do you prefer the closeness that we've got now, or do you prefer something a little bit further away?
I was just thinking that Ross is in an absolute man sandwich there between the two of us. If you put me in the middle there for a second, I was like a bearded Oreo. It was horrific for a second there. No, I think you've got to go Talking Heads. I already feel like fucking Chris Kamara. What have I missed? sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's, the closer you can be to my face, the worse, the more Louis Theroux I look. So I think I think we're better.
Better like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so let's start then. So the kind of basis behind this, as we were explaining off camera, Ross, was we kind of thought we'll work it in 15-minute segments ish. So let's start with the first topic, which is current affairs, and we've chosen a great week to start this, Smuts, haven't we? Because it's been a batshit crazy week. Has anything in particular caught your attention?
I mean, the most obvious thing for me is the fact that the pig fucker's back.
Yeah,
David Cameron is back, full of bacon, and in a lot of bacon himself. He's found his way. He's wormed his way back into not only the public eye, but he's got some semblance of power again. That is absolutely terrifying.
Well, we're certainly not going to be afraid to put our name to what we think here, whether people like it or not. We'll soon find out in the comments, I suppose. But let's, as we've gone with that, let's go with that. So if we go to the start of the week then, the cabinet reshuffle, Suella Braverman, bang, gone. David Cameron, you're back. After Rishi saying in his whatever it is address that Tories need to look to the future and not the past. It's like 2016 again. And then 24 hours later, Suella's put it out. That, you normally see this picture of a half a page resignation letter. There's Suella 3 pages ripping the shit out of it.
Absolute shambles. I mean, on one hand, it is hilarious and great to see the Tory party absolutely crumble in front of us. But on the other hand, they are still in charge. I cannot fathom how, but somehow they are still clawing on.
So I am partial to using the phrase clusterfuck. And I've managed to get the guys and girls at work, particularly in the team that I work with, using the phrase clusterfuck, and never, not just with what we're talking about now, but never has a week needed the word clusterfuck more than this week. Ross, what's been your take on that side of things this week?
If I'm honest with you, chaps, I've got absolutely no idea about politics or.
It's probably the safest way.
It goes straight over there, mate. Honestly,
it's probably the safest way to be.
I know who you're talking about, but what's been going on? Nah.
It's just not the worst idea.
I think I'd like to keep it that way. Yeah,
I think safest.
The least you can sort of have to listen to the fucking noise of the Tory party, the better your mental health will be, just by virtue of ignoring it. The old Nigel Pearson quote: "Are you an ostrich? Is your head on sand? Be an ostrich, mate. Be an absolute ostrich."
I think for this one, I'm going to remain an ostrich.
It's definitely the best way to be. Yeah. Something that caught my eye, and I don't know if you guys have seen this. I'm just loading up the post now to check my details are correct. I'm going to deviate away from politics for a moment because, as we all know, we've come together through our love of CM0102. But I happened to notice that the Legends account that really kicked it all off for us, reposted something from the Out of Context Football Manager account. I don't know if you guys frequent this account very often.
I only see it when Legends posts about it and takes the piss out of it. But I'm assuming this is about Bromley Town.
Well, kind of, yeah. So in Football Manager 2024, it is possible to have a film crew make a documentary of your season. I mean, Football Manager takes long enough, but what the actual fuck is going on here?
Jesus Christ. I wouldn't watch a I haven't watched those on the Amazon Prime, the behind the scenes at Spurs or the Arsenal one. I didn't even see the Brendan Rodgers one at Liverpool when he was being an absolute fuck whisker with Raheem Sterling, etc. Why would I even watch it in Football Manager? Jesus wept. The joke that it takes so long to pick the flowers outside the training ground. This has gone to a next step. There'll be a documentary about picking the flowers outside the training ground next. Fucking.
Are you a football manager fan, Ross?
I attempted it, which, I mean, it would have been maybe 2010, 11 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, right, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna give it a go. I gave it a week and it went. I think I stuck it on eBay and got £1 for it or something, and then straight back to Jumpman.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot easier to guide yourself through and actually enjoy playing. I think, in my experience anyway. I'm sure there'll be some FM players who'll tell us we're wrong, but I mean, the fact that we've got to the point that you can have documentaries made in game is just fucking ridiculous for me.
I get the need to change and improve and to be new every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, as every single year there is something new that they have to add on. You can't, it's not like there's much game graphics or gameplay or anything that you can do with it. You can't keep reinventing the wheel. But there's taking it to some levels, and there's just taking it too far. It's an absolute. I tell you what, going back to your clusterfuck point about I'll take it from in the thick of it. It's not even a shambles; it's an omni shambles. It's
Omni shambles.
Terrible. What are you doing? Go back to what works. The best part about Football Manager in the recent years is when they added just quickly skip through the games. It was basically a little button you could press where it went straight through the game, just gave you the result. That was it.
Then you're not managing it, surely.
Yeah, but it takes that long anyway. You've seen how quickly I play with the commentary on Champ Manager.
Indeed. One other thing before we move on then, something else that's caught my eye. I don't know if you two will be involved, but tonight, so we're recording this straight after the Super League stream on Sunday. Tonight sees the return of I'm a Celebrity with one of arguably the most high-profile collective group of actually well-known celebrities entering the jungle. Will you two be getting involved in I'm a Celeb this year?
I mean, I will be, but that's only because my wife is a big I'm a Celebrity fan. But talking about Omni Shambles, and then fucking Farage is in it this year, isn't it?
He is.
Hancock wasn't bad enough last year. Oh, Jesus, it's the scrape in the barrel, and then isn't Britney Spears' sister one of the other?
Jamie Lynn, yeah, she's in there, yeah.
She's the only one I'd not heard of. I knew everyone else. I didn't know. Obviously, I knew she was Britney Spears' sister, but surely there's more to her than that. And then my missus tells me she was in Zoe
101.
I think. I'd never heard of that.
You must be of a similar age bracket to Smuts and I, so you must be aware of Zoe 101.
No, I'd generally never heard of it.
Why are you throwing me under that bus there?
Oh, mate, I watched all of Zoe 101. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was a Nickelodeon kid, so.
Oh, there you go. Tory cunt. Yeah, we couldn't afford to.
You fuck right off.
I didn't really get Nickelodeon. We had about a year's worth of a Moody Skybox where that was prime. Keenan and Kel, sister.
Sabrina.
Yeah, that'd have been that sort of era. But no, it didn't last as long as Zoe 101 or whichever the one with Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato.
That was Disney.
Oh, right, there you go.
That was Princess Protection Program. That was a film.
This
is Zoe 101.
How bad
look at the quick Google searching.
I'm impressed with that, in fairness. I mean, I'm worried about the Princess Protection Program bit, only because I was forced to watch that by my wife.
The only reason I know it is because Aiden's watched it. That was after me, to be fair. So I was very much a Nickelodeon.
Closer to my wife's age than
yeah, well, she is. Yeah. She is. I was very much a Nickelodeon kid, so I was like the ones you were saying, Keenan and Kel, Sabrina, Sister. Two of a Kind, obviously, Mary-Kate and Ashley.
You get
Rugrats and Doug as well, just a bit before
Rugrats
that
and
when I was
Doug,
into
yeah.
cartoons.
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold was
Hey
class.
Arnold, Go Home Football Head. Yeah.
Indeed. Disney,
I mixed up
to
Go
be
Home
fair,
Roger and Arnold there.
I didn't really do too much of Disney. I kind of skipped that because Nickelodeon had come out. I watched Recess when it was cartoon era, and I watched a little bit of Lizzie McGuire and That's So Raven, but that's about it from Disney, I think. High School Musical was just coming out as I was getting out of it, but I have seen it plenty, and I have seen all three. But yes, so you'll be getting into it, Ross. Are you going to be watching I'm a Celeb this year?
Yes, it was actually on while I was waiting for whatever it is you had for me, not knowing.
Yeah, we kept it all very, very secretive.
It's actually on in front of me, paused.
Yes, mine's on record at the moment.
Ready to go when we've finished up here.
Well, let's move on then to segment number 2 for the episode. Football chat. This can be anything past or present. And the first thing I want to throw at you both, and again, there's been no prep time. I'm doing this very, very much like I run FRI, where there's no prep time for either the co-host or the guest. So you don't know what I'm throwing at you. But I was watching some various clips on YouTube over the course of the week. And I presume you both must have seen this. I watched that infamous moment that Phil Babb of Liverpool slid straight onto the post between his legs, trying to block a ball, and ironically ended up hitting 2 of them. But what I'd like to know from you two, because although I wince every single time, it also makes me laugh every single time. So I'd like to know from you two any other properly funny moments in football. If I was to say to you, what's some of the funniest things you've seen in football? What instantly jumps to mind?
I mean, it's dead easy for me. I was at the Leicester-Newcastle game where Olivier Bernard got absolutely poleaxed by Laurent Robert. As Laurent Robert was trying to clear the ball away after the ref blew his whistle and clean knocked out Olivier Bernard. And I was at that game and pissed myself laughing for I think we lost that game as well, but I just laughed for the entirety of that game. It was hilarious.
Ross, yourself?
I mean, for me, the first thing that springs to mind is just Jimmy Bullard in general. Him as a player, that is it when he was at Hull.
Yeah.
And there was a great big bundle in the goal mouth, and I don't know what on earth he was thinking. He just dove straight over the top of the pile, didn't he?
Oh, that was at Wigan, wasn't it?
Was it Wigan?
Wigan was when he jumped over the celebration. That was fun.
But there's so many clips of him. That one with him and Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah.
Where he's looking up at Duncan Ferguson like that.
For it to death, yeah. And the famous team talk celebration at Hull, Phil Brown, yeah. What team do you support, Ross?
West Ham fan.
Gotcha. Right. Okay. Fair enough.
For my sins.
Oh, okay.
You been to the new stadium yet?
Yes, I have been. Not to actually watch a match. I had a stadium tour as a birthday gift, which was that last year? Yeah, last year that was.
So Smuts, if I was to ask you, that's a great question. If I was to ask you for an infamous West Ham clip, funny, serious, quality, whatever, what are you going for a West Ham clip?
A West Ham clip? I mean, pretty much anything with Neil Ruddock in it. But the most obvious one that comes to mind is Paolo Di Canio catching the ball. Yeah,
against Everton.
Yeah, towards the end of the game.
Unbelievable bit of sportsmanship. That.
Yeah, exactly. That's
not bad for a man who pushed over a referee, is it?
Exactly, yeah. A neo-fascist that pushed over a referee.
Do you know what? You stole mine because I was going to say, I mean, there's so many Di Canio moments as well. You think of the scissor kick volley as well. Absolute class. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other sort of West Ham clips. I don't know why, but instantly I'm just thinking of Dimitri Payet's fucking just string of absolute quality goals.
That free kick that he took was absolutely disgusting as
Ross, yourself, what are some memorable West Ham moments for you?
I mean, being a fan, obviously Payet, yeah, lots of different memories. But
Winning the European Cup, obviously.
when we signed Tevez and Mascherano, that was just like
Unreal.
how have we gone from getting like Nigel Rio-Coker and now we've got Tevez and Mascherano on the books?
And the fact that neither of them played for the first couple of weeks, because I can't remember who it was, but I think Nigel Rio-Coker was keeping Mascherano out.
Yeah,
Maybe Marlon Harewood was keeping
Or Carlton
Tevez
Cole.
out.
Bobby Zamora keeping Tevez on the bench.
Just absolute madness. And then he single-handedly kept you up that season.
That was from memory. It was something to do with the
Neil Warnock's piss for the entirety of the
chairman. We had an Icelandic chairman or something come in, didn't we?
Yes.
And I don't know, he was pulling strings everywhere to corrupt us, I think.
So back on the initial question of funny moments, I'm going to maybe alienate a group of our potential viewers here, but I appreciate, as a Swindon fan, a team where plenty of shit happens on a daily basis these days. I appreciate poetic irony as much as anything. And as much as it may alienate some fans, I'm going to say Steven Gerrard falling over the week after saying we don't let this slip is one of the funniest things to ever happen on a football pitch. I mean, it's so funny. So funny. So let's go with enigmas in football then, gents. We've got some of the obvious. We spoke about the likes of Di Canio. But if I was to say I'm looking for your enigmas in the ilk of, say, El Hadj Diouf, who have we got in the enigma category?
Well, at Leicester we've had plenty of enigmas in that they've never showed up for a game.
Adi Akinbaye.
Oh, jeez, Adi Akinbaye. Yeah, no. I mean, the first sort of maverick enigma sort of player that comes to mind, and it is a little bit before my time, is a player called Frank Worthington, who played for Leicester during the 70s. And you only need to watch one clip of Frank Worthington where he destroys the whole Bolton team at Huddersfield. Just on his own, the ball comes out to the edge of the box. He's got his back to goal. He flicks it up over his head, beats 4 players, ends their careers there and then, and wallops it in the back of the net. It's one of the best goals I've ever seen. And he would do that for fun. And then at 45, he joined the England beach football team. Went out to Marbella or somewhere ridiculously warm. Got shit-faced every single night and then scored overhead kicks every single game and was the best player on the pitch. I think he was well into his 40s, like hadn't been playing at all, and was the best player in the tournament. Ridiculous. What a man.
Ross, who would you like to throw into the enigma category?
So first for me, pronunciation of his name's not going to quite be right. You might have to correct me, but is it Tamuri Catspy, who played for Newcastle?
Catspy, yeah.
Remember his celebration? Was it against Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Walloping the
just absolutely booting the sideboard for no reason.
Head case.
Newcastle have a long history of players doing rogue shit. I mean, you've got that example. You've got Laurent Robert stripping naked and throwing everything into the stands. Was it Asprilla the day he signed? He turned up and it was snowing and he had his big coat on as well.
For Asprilla, also, there's a famous story of him asking Kevin Keegan if he could put a video on the team bus, and he put a mucky film.
How do you know this?
From other podcasts and stuff. He put a mucky film on. And turned around to everybody and went, "Hey, that's my wife. That she was a Colombian porn star. She was a Colombian porn star." He was putting for it.
Fair play, lad.
Ridiculous.
Speaking of Colombians, did you see in the news earlier this week? I think it was King of the Shithouse, Sergio Ramos, giving Shakira an award at like the South American Music Awards or something for her diss track about PK.
No, I didn't, but that's brilliant.
As someone who absolutely adores Shakira, so I'm very up to date with the latest Shakira news, even though I've not understood a song for about 10 years. Yes, Sergio Ramos turned up at the awards and presented it to her in his latest kick in the bollocks to PK.
Ridiculous. No, I hadn't seen that. I do find it quite funny that Shakira is getting done for some sort of fraud, considering her most famous song is about not being able to lie.
God's sake. On the let's throw one more at you then. I mentioned shithouse and Sergio Ramos being the master of the shithouse, and I love Sergio Ramos. Any sort of shithouse moments come to mind? And it doesn't even have to be shithouse against another player. It's like I very much appreciated the phase of former Crystal Palace striker Andy Johnson doing the burger celebration because everyone kept saying he was too fat to play for England.
I like that. Kevin Phillips did something a little similar. He signed for Leicester at about 40 odd. He signed effectively knowing he'd get a coaching job at some point. And he scored and then pretended to be on a Zimmer frame. Brilliant.
Nice.
He was told he's too old to play for us. But no, the biggest shithouse of all time that played for Leicester would be Robbie Savage. Just
of course.
pure shithouse. Made his name at Leicester, pretty much put himself on the map at Leicester by being one of those players that everybody would say, you must fucking hate him playing against him, but you're glad he's on your team. Then sort of a couple of years later, he went to Derby, scored against us, kissed the Derby badge. What a shithouse. What an absolute pure shithouse.
West Ham must be a cauldron of shithouse at times, Ross.
Yeah, I can't think what is that? I mean, you've got players. I mean, who've got? I can't even think that now.
Tevez was a shithouse.
Well, there was that story that came out about him recently that apparently, with all his burns on his face and that, apparently Carlton Cole said, "Fucking hell, mate, put some clothes on." That would scare kids, that. And Tevez went straight out to the car park and with a golf club smashed his front window in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, apparently so.
No shits given.
Yeah. Okay, welcome to the club.
Well, let's. I could do this all night, but again, this is just a pilot to get a feel for what these episodes could be. Let's talk about the main thing that brought us all together, shall we? And that is the Super League. So, Ross, big news this week was you have one of 3 new managers announced for the new season. You must be buzzing.
Yes, mate. As soon as you sent that message across, it was the easiest yes I've ever given, I think.
So tell us, first and foremost, what can we expect from your Stackington side?
I'm going to keep it. I know Rock said earlier, didn't he, on the stream, that he's just going all out chaos.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and keep a bit of a level head and not do anything too drastic, and hopefully just sort of, see where it goes. I'm not going to set the world alight, but who knows?
You must be already looking at it thinking, how do I get this team into the top 6, though? Because that's the aim for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I took the team on, and to be honest, there's a fair few players there that I've never heard of, never used in any of my solo games or anything like that. So stats-wise, they look okay, but you know what it's like. You do want some players that you know.
Yeah.
So I have gone out wheeling and dealing with various people. And
how's the pre-post-season market looking for you?
Yes, I mean, I'm happy with the business being done. I think the managers do speak amongst themselves about what they're doing or trying to do, and
Oh yeah, you'll notice it's very clicky.
Oh, I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, I'll be messaging, say, Steve at Dudley about a player, and then before that deal was even done, I'll get a message from Tato. Don't sell so and so to Steve. I mean, the deal's not even done yet.
They're two of the worst for it as well. You couldn't have
They
picked out.
They must just be on the phone to each other saying, "Oh, I've got this potential deal on the go. What do you reckon?"
Absolute gossips, the pair of them. Honestly,
Says us.
yeah. In fairness, yeah.
Well, I say says us. I mean, I notoriously wasn't one for doing a great deal of deals. Smuts, on the other hand, he's one of them that absolutely loves it, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to cause me an absolutely fucking processing nightmare next season.
Nothing too drastic so far, to be honest. Me and Ross have done one small deal. Literally, I said to him straight away, anything you want, let me know. Any players that you like the look of, he gave me a list, and I said no to 2 of the 3, I think. Just because I've got that plan in place for season 2. I think Van der Vaart was one of them who I've made no bones about saying he will be playing plenty of games this season. I can't remember the other one. And then Sebastian Kehl was one of them that he mentioned. And that was one of my out-league signings from last year. And straight away I said, yeah, not a problem. He's yours. Is there anyone you sort of not desperate for? And I mentioned a couple of players. I think Jorovic was one of them that I'd mentioned to Dan. I quite like the look of.
I said to Dan about Jorovic as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a left-footed defender. I love a left-footed defender, and I just sold Melito to Rox, so perfect timing. It was the quickest and easiest deal. We both went, yeah, fine, sorted, done.
Yeah, I even said that, didn't I? I said, how perfect, how quick and smooth the deal was, and that was it, done and dusted.
You'll find that they're either like that or they are long drawn out processes.
Yeah, no, it's all a learning curve, but no, from day one, I'm already buzzing about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Smirch, you've obviously just completed your first full season as a manager. First of all, have you got any advice for Ross going into his?
Yeah, it's the first thing that I actually did is I said to Ross, look, find out what it is, have a plan, basically. However you want to play, pick your transfers and pick your team based on that. So I have drafted 2 very good fullbacks. Wing backs, so I have no need for any wingers at all. So the first thing I did was get rid of anybody who played on the wing. For instance, Rivaldo, I kept him for a little bit. He has got a central potential to play in the middle, but he's a winger.
Well, he obviously did very well for our Gazelles team when we stepped in there.
Exactly, when he was out on the left. And it was basically that sentiment that kept him for longer than he should have done, really. Nedved was the same. I palmed him off on you straight away, and I think he's moved again, just because I think he's
every fucker's moved again.
Yeah, to be honest.
I think me and Rox were talking before tonight's show, and I think I sent him a screenshot when he took charge just to kind of get him going, because obviously I had the exile stuff. I said, this is your current first 24. And when we're talking tonight, I think he said of that first 24 that I had, I think he's got 4 left.
Yeah, Veron, Aymar, and I couldn't name you the other 2.
Nesta.
Oh, Nesta, that would make sense, yeah.
And I can't remember who the 4th one is.
Probably Richard Wright, to be fair. Just by virtue of nobody else apart from you liking him as a goalkeeper. So he'd be still floating around.
It can't be disputed. He had after a dodgy start, he actually had a good season, did Richard Wright?
He did. Yeah.
How did you find your first season as a manager?
Yeah, it was okay. I was aiming to just sort of sneak into the playoffs and to still be realistically in with a shout right down to the wire on the last game before the playoffs. I thought it was pretty good. At home, absolutely one of the best in the league. Away from home, I could not buy a win. In fact, the only win I had away from home was against you. When we both
went one at the back.
One at the back, 3 up top, just for a bit of a change. see if either of us could shake ourselves out of the terrible form we're in at the time. Other than that, I got 2 draws, I think, away from home, and that was it. 5 points away from home out of the 38 that I got. It's just fucking terrible. So the only thing I need to do really is change that somehow next season. I think bringing in one of your players from last season, Riquelme, should do that.
So we're recording after the 3rd playoff episode. So I know you weren't about so much. You've seen the results. Ross, you were there though, weren't you, in the chat watching along?
Yes. Yep.
So let's talk about the games then. Sancte knocking out Coast. Sancte haven't looked spectacular, but they've been ruthlessly efficient, and Dimble might be a little bit frustrated his side are out, but fair play to Sancte. They are doing it the unconventional way.
Yeah, Sancte have looked good, to be fair, for a good few weeks. I think Duggan's found his starting 11 and stuck with it best he can. You know, bearing in mind injuries and suspensions potentially, and it's worked. I know he had an injury to Ronaldinho, which he weathered the storm, but he's come back in and he's done well. So fair play to Duggan, to be fair.
Moving forward, he plays Bern in the knockout semi-final, essentially. He already picked out himself. Ronaldinho is suspended for that game. He assumes, now I know the answer, but I'm not going to publicise it until he does. He assumes after tonight's action that Inzaghi's likely to be missing as well. 2 big misses for a one-off game?
Huge. Absolutely huge.
To be honest,
it is his 2 best players, isn't it? I couldn't name you, I think, another big name Sancti player, maybe Constantinu being back, but that's about it, really. That's just because I'm terrible with fucking remembering who's where nowadays because of all the transfers. But
think it's going to be easier next year?
Fucking no chance. So with you running the fantasy football this year for the Super League, Ross, just grabbing up the exact words that I sent to you when I picked my last fantasy football top 5. So there was 6 teams left in the playoffs, and I said, "Can I have 1 player from each, please?" Except for Sante, because they're shit. So that's gone really well, and there's a reason I'm languishing down in the bottom half of the fantasy football table with that. It shows what I fucking know. I'm very surprised that they've gone through. I think Duggan, the way that they've played, will probably also be very surprised that they've snuck their way through with 2 1-0 wins, I think. Am I right in saying a 0-0 first game against Badgers, a 1-0, and then they've just squeaked through with another 1-0 again? Yeah. So not known for his defences, in fairness. Squeaking by with the odd single goal.
Ross, with you getting the job for next season, will fancy CMSL remain in place, do you think?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, it was something that I think Duggan started up as a sort of like a charity thing, weren't it, for a pal of his or something like that. I don't know too much details. And I just sort of said, you know, I'm new. If you need a hand, because obviously at the time he was streaming, weren't he?
Yeah.
So I said, you know, if I can help in any way, whether it be, you know, just doing the scores or whatever, and he's just sort of said, yeah, that's great. I'll send you it over, and that was it. He just left me to it. So bearing that, like I say, with me now being a manager, whether that will carry on or not, I don't know. I'll leave it up to Duggan. To be honest, it didn't set any, you know, it wasn't, people lost interest, let's say. Towards the end of it, there was only sort of myself and 2 or 3 other managers that had carry on updating their teams. Everyone else had just sort of given up, I think. So if that's anything to go by, it might just be knock it on the head.
Wow.
I can imagine
all new content ideas are very much appreciated, and that's why we're doing this as a new content idea. And again, we're hoping for as many comments as possible as to whether you want it to continue, whether you like it, what you didn't like, and we'll go from there. Sorry, Smash, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, I imagine the ones that are still going are the managers at the top end of the table that still got a chance to sneak it, I'd imagine. I know from my side of things, I didn't know where the fucking players were anymore. So I couldn't pick a 5 knowing full well that they were going to move in 5 minutes. And I'm surprised that I haven't managed to have 2 players from the same team just by virtue of them being transferred to somebody else at some point.
Let's. I do hope either that or something similar to that. I know Swan was talking about maybe bringing back the Super League, Super 7, something like that as well. So anything that keeps building on what we've got is much appreciated, because ultimately that's what we want to do. It's done so much for so many people. We want to outreach now. I think that's a lot of what my thinking is how do we grow it now and go wider. Let's talk about the other game then. A decimated Burn squad getting eliminated by Haggis, but they do get the second chance against Sancte. Again, Ross, when you look at the levels of unavailable players that Burn had, it was always an uphill task, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's had to bring in some fodder, let's say. Not his starting 11. I mean, Lundberg's a top player, but he's not one of his starting players, is he? So he's had to shuffle it around a bit, and that's obviously what's cost him, I think.
No, absolutely.
I think that's always been a potential banana skin for Ian at Burn, and he's gotten away with it for a long while. He's always had 11 superstars and 4 on the bench that Youngberg being one of them that can do a job. Tomadera being on the bench can do a job, but nobody's screaming out for any of the rest of Ian's squad usually.
Now again,
because of the way he does his transfer business, he goes about getting his 11 as good as humanly possible, but doesn't really look at the rest of the squad. So once you lose 2-3 key players all at once, you do have the potential to capitulate, like it seems it has been the case in this instance.
Now again, at time of recording,
that wasn't there the last game of the season. He was against me when I just needed a win to sneak into the playoffs. Never mind.
At time of recording, I have sent out the pack, so I know the answer to this, but again, I won't publicise it. We know Keane is missing because he got a yellow card, so he's missing for the semi-final. Should none of the players be available that were unavailable tonight, Ross, do you think they're going to struggle against Sancte?
With knowing that Sancte is missing Ronaldinho and Inzaghi, that might make it more of a level playing field.
Okay. And Smart, so I was saying to Rox on the live stream, when you consider the last couple of weeks and how we've got to the point we're at, it was almost written. I mean, congratulations, as we said, to Haggis, who qualified for the final. It's almost written when 3 of the 4 previous streamers made the playoffs as well, it was going to be Haggis versus one of them
100%.
in the final. And therefore, it looks like Sancte are going to be that team in the final.
Yeah, I mean, the ringleader of the Tormentors, as far as Ian's probably concerned. It couldn't have picked somebody more of a figurehead for the anguish up in Scotland, I'd imagine. So that would be a hilarious and very fun subcontext to if that is the final. But for me, Northern Burn and Haggis have been the 2 outstanding teams all season. It would be very surprising if that wasn't the final.
That's a question I was going to ask you two. Has there been any surprise packages in the way of, are you surprised that Haggis have got where they got? And also, are you surprised someone like, say, Sloths haven't done as well as they should have done?
Interesting 2 teams you've picked there. I'm going to say no, and the reason for that is Haggis built a team of one of the most knowledgeable people of the databases I know in Rocks to do his transfers, and a former Super League winner in Greavesy to basically pick his tactics for him. And therefore, all he's had to do is just alter the squad when there's been unavailability. As for Sloths, they've got and this is unfortunate for both Alf and Rob, they've got a history of underachieving. So it was they were never going to make the top 6. I never considered them really as a top 6 club this season. I'm surprised maybe the Vikings side didn't do better.
So is Jens.
Yes, so is Jens. But again, I don't. This isn't the first time that a season 1 Jens team hasn't done particularly well, and his sides do tend to grow into it. I'll tell you, I was actually surprised. Like, I genuinely think my Exiles team is the worst team to ever qualify for a playoffs.
You've got the 3 best attacking midfielders in the game.
Who were creating nothing.
Because you weren't playing them all together in attacking midfield. Your best
generally
attacking
not
midfield,
available to play
defensive midfield. In fairness, and played very well
doing
there.
Numbers, yeah.
Yeah, did play very well there. Your issue was probably your front line. But again, you had one of the best centre-backs, maybe one of the best centre-backs pairings, realistically, in Nestor and Ferdinand, potentially.
Interestingly, Woodgate was more consistent than Ferdinand.
Which is why he has gone immediately. And when he was offered to me, I said, I don't need him. I've got Martin Larsson, who will get 7 or 6 out of 10 every single week, and I don't need to think about him ever. It didn't surprise me that you got into the playoffs. It surprised me from where you started.
Oh, that's 7-2 dicking by
exactly.
badges.
Yeah, the fact that the 2 teams that got absolutely spanked game week 1, Fulchester, had they not gone on such a terrible run, would have been in the top 6, undoubted. The fact that they were still within a shout of the top 6 because of how well they started the season, apart from that first game, is unreal. I think it was 11 games in a row they lost, which is almost half the season, and they still were 1 point away from the. They were above me still.
How shit must you be?
Exactly. And I won almost all of my home games and lost all of my away games, so I won almost half of the games as well. Still, yeah. They did so. To the fact that you managed to drag yourself from bottom to, did you finish 4th in the end?
6th.
Of course you slipped on that last game. Yeah.
So last question before we move on. Then, who does meet Haggis in the final, in your opinion? Before you've seen any team news, are you thinking Sancte with the momentum, or we'll start with our guest Ross?
No, I'm going to swing towards Burn only because of those 2 missing players for Sancte. I think that really does disrupt their momentum. Their talisman in Ronaldinho and the goal scorer with Inzaghi, both missing, is huge.
Okay, Smuts?
I completely agree. Yeah, I think Ian's been there and done it too often. I called him the Super League Thanos the other week, just because it's inevitable that he's in the final. It really is.
For our last feature, and again, these are all ready to develop as and when. For our pilot episode, we're going with Challenge Smuts. Now, my co-presenter is something of an anorak of useless information at the best of times. So I've been coming up with different ideas for Challenge Smutses. And it's fair to say, I hope you would agree, that you've, particularly as this has been your first year of Super League, you've been paying real close attention to what's been going on. So, my challenge, you recently appeared on an episode of FRI where you were naming a Leicester City team that played against Swindon,
Yes.
you might recall. So I've come up with something similar, but as this is a CMSL podcast, in theory, I've done something CMSL related for you. You opened the season with a 3-0 victory at home against Stackington, the team that our guest this evening has taken over. But what I'd like to know is, of the 15 players in the matchday squad, how many can you remember?
Oof, good question. Right.
Before you do, Ross, what is the target for Smuts to get an acceptable answer here? There are 11 starters, 4 subs. How many do you think he should be able to remember from his first game in charge?
I mean, you've got to be getting at least 10. Even the 11 starters, to be fair.
Wow. No pressure this much. You're going for the 11 starters to get an acceptable answer.
I mean, I can get the back 3, I think. So in goal would have been Nigma.
Well, because... wrong.
No, he wasn't. He was injured first game. He was injured. Peruzzi was in goal.
Peruzzi
my days. Yeah. And Rushdie Rekbar would have been on the bench. Jesus wept.
He was, yeah.
Fuck the first one. Right, hang on. Let's just cross that one out. The back 2.
We'll cut that bit out, Smuts.
Yeah. We'll edit that bit.
Yeah. In this completely unedited.
Hang on. Let's give you a hard edit point here. So in goal would have been Angelo Peruzzi because Nick was injured. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, I'll never forget that. It was my 9/11. And on the bench would have been Rushdie Rekbar.
Correct.
Back to hopefully Maldini and Martin Larson.
Correct.
Vieira would have played.
He did.
Z Roberto and Emerton would have been the wing backs.
They were.
Liverani would have played as well.
He did.
With Dalmat in the middle.
Correct.
Now we're struggling. Who would have I had in attacking midfield?
This is great for people listening. All this silence.
Michael Owen would have played.
Michael Owen was up front, yeah.
Would I have had Saviola yet? Did I have him all season?
I know the answer to that.
I've got a feeling I played Saviola and Rivaldo.
Got 1 out of 2 correct.
It would have been Rivaldo then. Fuck. Okay. Well, then did I have Nedved still?
Nedved is the other one. So there's your starting 11.
There you go. So
you've already named Rustu. Can you name your other 3 subs?
I doubt it.
Would you like some help with the subs?
No, because that makes it worse. Okay. Jesus Christ, I've had some turnover. Rocky Santa Cruz.
He was the sub striker, yes.
Van der Vaart.
Nope.
No, he wouldn't have been there. Fuck. So I've got 13 out of 15, in fairness. He's not bad.
After getting the first one wrong, in fairness.
Yeah. Got that. Fuck me. So
5B, is that the same cat, or have you got about 8 cats?
No, it's the same cat. Just keeps coming back.
I hope you're going to ask Ross to name the fucking Stackington team that played against me.
No, because he wasn't even involved in Stackington.
Nothing to do with me.
Yeah, and I don't think I could name 2 of them, Mendieta and Dyer. In fact, one of them was injured, so it wasn't Mendieta either.
While you're thinking of the other 2, I can confirm that Stackington played a similar formation to you. They had Mondragon in goal, Hippier and Jorovic in defence. They had Lopez Ricarte and Dyer as wing-backs with Mileski and Patsazoglu in holding midfield. Kanya in centre mid with Nakamura and Gallardo supporting Vieri. They also had Sander Westerveld, Federico Lusanov, Vitaly Volodenkov and Ulf Kirsten as the subs.
Jesus, how did I win this? Right, so...
You've had more than enough time now.
Yeah, I know.
Sub-defender and a sub-midfielder, come on.
Right, who have I flogged to you? Because I bet it would be 2 players I flogged to you.
No, none of them played for me.
Fuck.
One of the right. I'll give you a clue.
Hoffland.
Hoffland is the sub defender. Yes.
No, you said it was a defender. Yeah.
And the sub midfielder.
I don't know who I fucking had at the start of the season.
Begins with a D.
That doesn't help.
It does.
Fuck did I have in midfield? Fuck it, you'd have to give me his position entirely.
Attacking midfield.
Attacking midfield begins with a D.
Both in letter and in sound.
Did I still have Del Piero at that point? No. I must have flogged him before the season started.
Not D'Alessandro.
No, not D'Alessandro. If you feel you know the option, Ross, feel free to save him.
I'm just trying to think of attacking midfielders beginning with D. Deisler.
No, I never had him. Fuck did I have at the start?
If you were to break it into syllables.
Jesus Christ, we're getting close now.
Sounds like
D. So 3 syllables. D. Ruddock, not daughter.
Oh, Denilson. Yeah, fair
There
play.
you go.
Yeah.
Denilson.
Forgot I even had Denilson. He played a lot of games for me as well.
So that brings to an end our pilot episode. Again, if you've got any feedback, if you think this is something that could work moving forward, let us know. Me and Smuts are putting together an idea for maybe an hourly show. It'll kind of replicate the blog that I used to do. It'll also kind of replicate the Friday show in how we've done Super League chat. Ross, I know it could ruin the whole show if you don't give it praise, but is this something you'd like to see carry on moving forward, do you think?
Very much so. It can only add more interest, can't it? It's a bit of fun for everyone.
Absolutely. If you do have any feedback, any comments, please let us know. And if it's something you want to see more of, me and Smuts will work on it. But that is our pilot episode of the Unnamed CMSL podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. Until maybe next time, goodbye.
Toodles.